So I just finished reading the first 3 volumes of AJIN Demi-Human. Let's talk about it. Hey, how's it going, guys? Blue Tempest here, and welcome back to another episode of the 3-volume rule. If you don't know what the 3-volume rule is, it's a saying in the manga community that I 100% stand behind, where if you're not hooked on a series by the end of volume 3, then you need to drop it. For today's episode of the 3-volume rule, we're gonna be talking about AJIN Demi-Human. If you guys don't know anything about this manga, then let me give you guys a little bit of background information. AJIN is a seinen series written by Gamon Sakurai, and originally the story was done by Suina Miura, who is also the mangaka behind High Rise Invasion. So in the first volume, the story was written by Miura, and then the art was done by Sakurai. And then from volume 2 onward, Gamon Sakurai did actually take the reins and started doing both the story and the art for this series. AJIN is set in a world where there are people known as demi-humans who are basically immortal, and the demi-humans are persecuted by the government, and once the demi-humans are captured by the government, they are practically turned into lab rats and are being experimented on in really harsh ways. And the weird thing about the demi-humans is that it could be anybody in this world. There is no way to know someone is a demi-human until they have died. So if someone dies and they come back to life, well then they're a demi-human, they're immortal. So it's a pretty interesting concept. Definitely something that I was really interested in, so that's why I picked it up. And as far as what type of story this is, it's a very action heavy and very thriller-like experience. It is definitely mature, and there's a lot of politics going on with the humans versus the demi-humans, what's right, what's wrong, and stuff like that. And getting into my first impressions of this manga, the first thing I gotta say is that the artwork in this series is really, really cool. It does have like a kind of sketchy looking art style to it, which I do enjoy. I think it fits the vibe of this series. And this aesthetic that the series goes for, not only with, you know, the artwork, but also just the tone of the story, is something that I have been wanting in a manga for a long time. I am a pretty big fan of thrillers and psychological stories. Some of my favorite anime are in that kind of genre, so it does give me vibes of anime like Death Note and Psycho Pass. And you guys also know I'm a fan of Shuzo Oshimi, so I think that anybody who likes a series like Happiness will definitely enjoy AJIN. The story of AJIN follows our main protagonist, K, who is a normal high school kid, and lo and behold, he does get hit by a truck and dies, and then comes back to life. So with that, we find out that he's actually a demi-human. And just from the get-go in volume 1, once we find out that K is a demi-human, the story really ramps up, and you see K running away from being captured by anyone and everyone who's trying to get money by handing him over to the government. And K also teams up with an old friend of his, who I believe his name is Kai, if I'm not mistaken. And while they didn't have the best of relationship before he turned into a demi-human, Kei realized that Kai is the only person who won't actually judge him for being a demi-human, and is the only trustworthy person that is not going to betray him with handing him over to these government officials. We also get a bit of a glimpse into what the action and power system of the demi-humans are in the first volume. It's kind of interesting. There are these kind of ghost-like figures, which you can see on the covers of the series. And these ghost-like figures can only be seen by other demi-humans, but they can interact with the environment. And basically, from what I can tell, it's almost as if demi-humans each have one of these ghosts and they can control them at will. But sometimes, for the case of our main character, K, he hasn't really quite learned how to control his ghost yet. So the ghost is kind of acting on his own, which I do think is pretty interesting. So from volume 1, while I don't think this is the best manga that I had read, it was a really, really intriguing first volume. Then getting into the second volume of this series, I think this is definitely a slower volume for AJIN, but it did keep me intrigued. And I think all the things that happen in this volume are super necessary to the plot. We get introduced to some other characters that are also demi-humans, and they basically meet up with Kay, and it turns out that they really aren't trying to help him in the same way that he thought it would be. So Kay is put in a situation where he is captured by the government, and we get to see really how harsh these experiments that are done on demi-humans are. So that aspect of the story is really, really interesting. There's also some other side characters as well, such as Tosaki, who right now I'm not sure if he is like the main antagonist of the story or not. You really don't know if he's a good or bad guy, at least from this sense that I get from the first 3 volumes. But he is an interesting character. He is a human who seems like he is trying to capture the demi-humans, but he actually has a woman helping him all the time, and we find out that she actually is a demi-human as well. So knowing that, I'm not sure whether or not we can trust this guy, but he is a pretty interesting character overall, and I'm excited to see what he does moving forward in the story. Then finally getting into volume 3, this is where the story really takes off. I absolutely loved this volume. I think that after reading the 3rd volume, you really do get a sense of how this story is going to play out, just kind of the overall vibe of this story. And by the end of this volume, I feel like I've almost completed the prologue of this story, and it ends off in a really good place where you want to know what happens next. So yeah, a lot of amazing action sequences in this volume. While the first 2 volumes were really interesting, I think the 3rd volume is when it really turns into a thriller, which is exactly the type of vibe that I was looking for out of this manga. So I am definitely really excited to keep going with this series because I really did enjoy it. I do also own volumes 4 and 5 of AJIN, so I will definitely be reading those very soon. And my overall thoughts on AJIN Demi-Human are very positive. While, like I said, it did take a little bit for it to really hook me, I do think that this is a really solid thriller action manga, and I do definitely recommend it for fans of those genres. So that pretty much does it for my thoughts on AJIN Demi-Human. If you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comments what other manga should I do a 3-volume rule video for. And also let me know if you've read AJIN Demi-Human and let me know your thoughts on it. If you do enjoy my content, then make sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. And make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. My links for TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram are down in the description below. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.